What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Smitty here, and got a descriptive video here in regards of the slider deep dive, basically getting into this NHL, using NHL, but getting into Madden here. I'll be sending this video to the dev team for sure. I don't want to be before you long. I'm gonna try and get through this as quick as I can, so I'm just gonna straight dive into it here. So, starting with this tab. Now, of course, leave your comments and everything in the comments below. Give some dialogue to it. Anything that you want to see from whatever it is I go over here, but just in general, sliders, settings, things like that, that will help with fine tuning the experience. Because everybody's not going to be with it. Some people are going to be fine with it out the box. Others aren't going to like the certain aspects as much. But let it be known though what it is that you want to see. So then that way we can make sure that we're letting the devs know about it. So the main thing here, the main takeaway from this first tab here is first having fatigue recovery. That would be huge because on OS, YouTube, everywhere, people post sliders and they have discussions about what's the best rating to set for your subs, your auto subs in and out based off of the fatigue. Because right now there is no fatigue recovery. Like this, just a general. This is how they get worn down by this percentage. We don't have anything to truly balance it, counterbalance it with a recovery mechanic. So that would be a huge addition right there. That would help streamline that whole auto sub process there. Now, outside of that, now going up above here, the attribute effects. Okay, now essentially, basically, what this means is because I was playing the game a little bit earlier and tested this out. Well, this means that basically, when the slider is at zero, when it's at zero, it makes everyone play the exact same. Now, I found this on Operation Sports, and this is from a few years ago, but this is what a dev had said in regards of it. They said that it makes when you put it on the high end, it makes high attributes get maxed out. So basically, top end players like 95 overall will be similar to 99, while spreading out worse players. So this helps with creating that disparity between your great, great, good, above average, average, below average, poor players, and you have them. You can have it at scale based on the attribute effects here. So go back and forth, do your tweaks on it, see what works for you as a baseline, and play on from there. So if you put it at zero, essentially you're playing with even teams, which is a setting that's in Madden. You can put on even teams, but this would be great to have. So in that way, you can really see, this will help with further spreading that balance between the guys with the high ceiling, the high ceiling top echelon players, and then just having that trickle effect go down. So it gives you a much more balanced game along with all the other mechanics. So now going from here, going into the skating, the main takeaway here from the skating sliders is number one, the back skating. This is now you guys see the description, but essentially in Madden, we're talking about backpedaling as in the lower that setting is, the lower the speed they have going backwards versus when they rotate and run forward. You put it even higher, then everybody's going to run the same. Same speed, either running back or forward. Now, excuse me. Now this is where myself, Sim, and AZ, we talked about this a lot in terms of player movement in general, organic player movement, players feeling attached to the field, players making that surface live. They need to be attached to the field of play. This is a huge point of emphasis in that regard, because then this is where the slider like that would shine. But then outside of that, we talk about the hustle that they talk about here, which this goes in line with NHL and how they rework their entire skating system. See what I mean? We need Madden to rework their entire player movement system because I could take an offensive lineman that's nearly 400 pounds and I could give him the exact same speed and acceleration rating as a halfback that's 190 pounds, and they're both off to the races at the exact same rate. And that shouldn't be. The player weight, his height and weight should take into account into that equation. You see, it needs to get on a level where when they're doing their mocap sessions and when they're doing their mocap sessions for Madden, we need to have, you need to bring in players that are all various types, heights, sizes, etc., and just have them run and record that and take that data and use that to start formulating things by class. Like have calculations for each position, type, and weight class respectively in the game. And now the other takeaway from this slider here, this section, is that you have agility with the ball, without the, and without the ball, just as you can see there. A general agility impact, and then you have their skating impact, just general skating in general. So going through this here, you want to have the same thing in Madden, where you have separate slider settings for your speed, acceleration, and agility with or without the ball. Okay, because we all know there's an impact when you have that. You run that 40 with the ball, and you run that 40. You run not your 40. Excuse me. Their speed with the ball versus their speed without the ball. There is a difference. So we need that to be depicted there. Going to the next part here, as far as the shooting is concerned, basically you have the shot types they emphasize in here is your general shooting, power, and accuracy. Also, the one-timer and the slap shot. Now, in Madden, that would go to the extent of pass accuracy for short, medium, and deep throws, and for accuracy and power. Okay. Now, that's what this basically talks to here. Now, I always felt that if you have player rating ceiling lower in general, the better. One thing looking on NFL.com, looking at the stats, the top quarterbacks in the league, basically, their percentage, their completion percentage is at 70 overall. So that would be a nice baseline to start it at 70. I know that it's all about 99s and such like that, but it would be nice to see that percentage of general accuracy be at 70%, and then you go lower from there. But then you also have the separate accuracies, where you can get into your 80s and 90s and such for your short, medium, and deep throws. Deep throw accuracy. So that's just something, just throwing that out there. But like I said, I want to hear from you guys what you guys think. Give your own thoughts on that kind of concept. Now going into the passing portion here. So basically, this is like your Dan Marino, your Brett Favre's of the world. Minimum and maximum pass speed. Now they have saucer pass speed in particular. Now you didn't see this in the shooting slider, but I mean, of course, that makes sense because talking about pass types. But as far as the pass type here, the generality we're talking about, what we want to have here is you want to have it for bullet passes here. Excuse me. But then you want to have the minimum and maximum speed here, because you have a guy like Brett Favre that would mess up receivers' hands and bruise ribs off of them catching passes in his prime. And I'm pretty sure it was the same effect with Dan Marino. People would excuse me, would catch the ball out of self-defense because they didn't want to, get tagged. They were trying to get tagged by that ball because he threw it with so much velocity. And that's what I'm saying. That would be more of like having a trait. Have a trait for quick, that kind of accuracy, that kind of, like, he throws not in addition to, like, he throws tight spirals. He throws hard passes. He throws bullet pass type, like, for example, like, have bullet passes as a trait and how he throws them. You know what I mean? Like, he throws hard bullets or what have you. But going through the settings here, as you see, pass interceptions, that's straightforward. That's defender, defending and coming away with the INT. Pass reception ease for user and CPU there. So that's what we're talking about, ball control. How easy it is for people to catch passes. That would be back to your Brett, your Dan Marino, Brett Favre kind of example, or regardless of the quarterback. Pass reception ease, that pertains to your wide receivers. How easy for it is on them to catch passes. Even with players wearing the gloves, and I know dropping balls are not, a huge thing, but it still happens a good amount of times even with the gloves on. So then it'll be nice to have that separation there, and be able to set the slider for it accordingly there. Let's see here. Let me go from the reception reaction time. Okay, now we're talking about, puck control, reception effect, pickup type effect, and oh, wait a minute, and bouncing puck receptions. Now, for the effect portions here, this essentially would be more of a catch type effect. This is what I'm basically saying on it is that the higher the value, the greater effect on how the player will adjust to the ball, whether it's over the shoulder, or or he'll catch according to his traits. Like, for example, is he a possession receiver? That's a trait that some people may not have. Like, but if he is a possession receiver, he'll catch the ball differently than somebody who is more about going for the aggressive catch. Um, Catching it on the sideline, will they slow down to try and catch it instead of just running in stride? Because, like, let's say you have a wide receiver, he's running toward out of bounds, toward the sideline. You may have to be more mindful of when you deliver that ball toward that sideline, because he's not known for, or he doesn't have the trait to just drag the feet and make the reception. So that's something that would go in line with that. And for example, from the Lions, Brandon Pettigrew, we cut him for a reason. He didn't have good hands, and plus he finally, he was injured. But the thing about it was that when it came to him catching passes, he was not good at catching passes in stride typically. He was more of a guy that if he's standing there and he's set, he turns and he boxes out for it or what have you, he can make the catch then at times. So it's like it's more, it's more in particular with that receiver. That's the kind of stuff you're bringing more individuality into the forefront. So that's what I'm talking about in that regard. But then lastly here, in regards of having a like bouncing puck receptions, that would be your bobbled ball reception slider. How easy they make the catch on bobbled balls. So the higher the higher you put it up, the easier it is to make the catch, whether it's DB or wideout. If you lower it, it's going to be harder. So that's when you're talking about, players catching ratings, all the different catch rating. That whole section comes into play there when you talk about that. So now going into the next section here is puck control, but this would basically be ball control. Now, this section right here, this is where we're talking about the puck physics being opened up. This is where we're talking, in Madden, opening up the ball physics and the immunity of the puck contact in terms of incidental contact. So I have it at 0, and I wanted everything to be accountable. Like, you can have it to you can set it to none if you wanted to, or if you want to set it, to something different, you can, like, you can set it to none, you can set it to legs and body only, or you can do it to stick, legs, and body. Okay, that's how I want it to be. Full tangibility. Everything that could be tangible, I want it to have that effect too. So that's where that slider would come in, and that would be huge. So if I make contact, like i.e. the butt fumble that we saw from Mark Sanchez, that would be that kind of contact. Or if I fumble it off my teammate, or a defender's arm brushes up against me, that's the kind of stuff I want to see, in the game. Puck control, that'll basically be your fumble slider. How much control you actually have on the ball. Now they talk about the moves in general, and then just the general skating impact. So that would be your player movement impact. You could do the spin move. You can get into the particular moves like stiff arm truck, spin, juke, impact in terms of losing the ball. You could do that. But then what I basically summed it up was special move impact or / vulnerability. How much more you can open yourself up based on the moves you perform. So the more you do, the more fatigued you are, which can make it a lot easier to fumble the ball or strip, by fumble the ball via strip, tackle, or organic limb interaction. So even if it's a tackle and I don't necessarily truck you, but you've been doing a ton of moves, that ball is hanging out there. If my guys arm just follows through and happens to graze the ball, or his helmet hits it, ball's going to come flying out, and it's going to be a lot easier because you're gassed. So, and then like what I was talking about as well, having your impact without the ball, just your general impact here in terms of fatigue with cutting and change of direction, all of a sudden, things like that, having an impact on you carrying the ball in, from that more general standpoint here. Okay, so now the next part here. The main thing that I took away was as far as it was just basically as far as reaction time, pass deflection, as far as Madden is concerned from this section here, pass deflection reaction time. Okay, player awareness, I wouldn't say recognition necessarily, but player awareness, because you've already deflected the ball. Now it's time to react to it. Not everybody is great with their reaction to the ball, but then this is where play recognition and awareness would shine at. Play action reaction time, and then even on run play reaction time without using run commit. I mean, as well, by the way. Run and with the different, you got your cutback defenders, you got your force defenders, you have the gap play in the game now. So with all that in there, this would be helpful to have run play, like especially on run play, having the reaction time, a reaction time slider for it accordingly, and also on screen plays as well. How well do the defenders react to what happens? So that would be it, basically where if I have a DB that's not as aware as far as what's going on, I mean not DB, excuse me, linebacking core. Two of them are like 80 overall awareness, and I have a third one that's at 70. That 70 linebacker it's gonna take him a lot. He's gonna be more than likely the slowest to react for the most part in terms of picking up on what kind of play is unfolding, especially if it's a run or a play action pass or even a screen. Instead of everybody moving the same, now you'll have guys move differently and they'll snuff the play out and then react to it. Sometimes you see guys make plays and it's like, man, it's as if they knew what the play call was because they're able to snuff it out. They have that, they have that reaction time according to what kind of play type it is. And see, once again, that's like I said, awareness comes into play there, and then as well as the play recognition comes into that too. So going from there, and of course, pursuit would play a role in that too. Now, the last portion here that I'm getting into is as far as checking is concerned. Now, first thing would be the stumble threshold. Essentially, how much players could fall. This would be a stumble / trip fall and fall threshold. How much players could fall route running, blocking, tripping via defender tackle efforts, whether or over your own teammates, or running through the trenches, or performing too many moves. That's what that basically would be. Hitting power, that would go along with the tackle attributes and traits. So, like how much do I want to emphasize hitting on tackles? Now, people that have the hit power, hit stick or goes for big hit trait, that's going to emphasize them even more. But then if for players that don't have it, that's where you can make that boost and, adjust it accordingly there in terms of that hit power there. Aggression, that would truly favor people with the high motor traits and people that play the ball. How they play the ball. Do they play the ball aggressively? If they do, then there you go. So, it's going to apply to them. So, that, of course, with doing so, you're talking about more penalties happening, things like that, defenders jumping off sides, pass interference or what have you, face mask tendencies, all of that would go up higher by making those kind of adjustments too, potentially. And also along with that, having big hit / strip ball effectiveness. This would be another part of it. Also, finesse and power move effectiveness slider excuse me, for the defense. And also, as far as, once again, another thing as far as moves are concerned, the truck and stiff arm effectiveness as well. So that once again, that would tie back to the whole fatigue thing. Like, you have the effectiveness. How effective is the truck in general, regardless if he's good or bad at trucking? Same with stiff arm. How effective are finesse and power moves? See what I'm saying? So, same with cover ball mechanic. How effective would that mechanic be? You can make the adjustment, because some people will cover the ball and still get it knocked out somehow at times. So having, a slider to go along with it goes hand in hand. And when we're talking about the size and speed impact, the balance ratings and things like that, this is where, preparing for the hits, even though we have players like you see in the game, players brace for the impact, but they still get hit. They still feel that impact. Okay? So we need to have it where when it comes to the players taking that impact, like, they brace for it, but then that's where the whole covering the ball mechanic would be huge at. People that don't use it, if you did all these moves and everything and you gas yourself out, I'll come through and do that big hit. Even if you brace at times, it'll still squirt out because you're gassed. See what I mean? So, and then my other aspect too, as far as O line and D line, pass and run blocking, footwork and agility. They had a slider. They had an attribute category for it in the past. They need that in the game, because we need all the players. All 22 players need to be tangible to the field. And lastly, size and speed impact. As you see, you could play this game just off of size and speed alone and nullify the skill attributes, and play the game that way if you wanted to. We need to see player size and stature and leveraging and things like that all need to come into the fold, which was what from what Ignite had said was supposed to happen. So we need to see these things come to the forefront, but then also being able to leverage it with the sliders accordingly, to tinker with and find a sweet spot that works best for you, whether it's offline or in an online league. So that's essentially it, guys. Sorry I took so long with this. I tried to be as quick as possible, but there was a lot that I needed to get through in this video. So I wanted to make this more of a discussion point as well. But like I said, I'll be sending this feedback to the devs about this aspect here, and let your thoughts be known. What you guys think in regards to this game? What you guys think about these slider sets. I mean, I know I talked about it in the past, but want to get to it more in depth. Want to see a discussion happen in the comment section about this, because I'm sending this to the devs. All right, but definitely like and subscribe. Leave your comments, and I'll be back with more videos, y'all. Y'all take care. Be safe. God bless. Peace.